Tuesday, March 25th, 2025, meeting of the Hammond Advisory Board of Zoning Appeals. And could we please start with the Pledge of Allegiance?
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, could we have a roll call, please?
Roger Brock.
Here.
William Hutton.
Here.
Cynthia Hasso. Dan Faulkner. Kathleen Hill.
Here.
3 present, we have a quorum.
And just as a reminder for the record, with only 3 present, it has to be a unanimous vote on every motion.
All right. Mr. Yaney, are you aware of that? Okay.
We have a fourth on Zoom, but he was having trouble. We're not sure.
Do you still want to continue or prefer a continuance? Okay, just checking on that. All right, we have the minutes for January 28th, 2025. Do we have a motion?
I'll make the motion to accept.
I'll second that
We
motion.
have a motion and a second, roll call vote.
Roger Brock.
Yes.
William Hutton.
Yes.
Kathleen Hill.
Yes.
3 ayes, 0 nays, motion passed.
Okay, I see no old business. Has anything changed since we received our agenda?
No old business.
Okay. Then we will move to new business. Is there a problem if we read both cases and hear one at a time?
There's no problem.
Okay. First case is Z2503, Parens A, petition of Mickey's Linen and Towel Supply, Inc., for developmental variance regarding Title Section 7.31 for reduction of the rear yard setback from 22.2 to 0 for a 2-story addition to a building located at 5530 Holman Avenue in a C1 local commercial district in the city of Hammond. The second one is Z-25-03, Parens B, petition of Mickey's Linen and Towel Supply, Inc., for developmental variance regarding Title Section 22.20 to allow installation of a 6-foot-tall ornamental retractable fence and gate system to be located in the front yard of Holman Avenue and Doty Street to a building located at 5530 Holman Avenue in a C1 local commercial district in the city of Hammond. Have all notification requirements been met?
Yes, they have.
All right. We shall hear from the petitioner. Would you like to state your name and address and sign in, please?
Yes, Scott Yaney, 3 Lincoln Way, Suite 201, Valparaiso, Indiana, and I have signed in. And I thank you for the opportunity to appear before you this evening. I missed you in February, so I'm back here in March, and we'll see what happens, I guess, for June, or April, or May. We'll
Now,
figure it out.
he may talk
I'm
about,
always bothering Brian and Tom with something, so.
okay. He may talk about both cases, but we will still take them separately, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. I'll be fairly brief with you this evening. I'm back before you on a case that brought me here last year, and this is Mickey's Linen. Mr. Hutton's very familiar with this building and his father. We have 2 developmental variances. We worked through a number of issues so that we would not have as many developmental variances to present to you this evening, but I'm here specifically on behalf of Mickey's Linen and Towel Supply, Inc., but they will occupy, just so we're kind of clear and you hear names and so forth, we are here on behalf of the owner of the property. This is Mickey's as a tenant of this property. It's 5530 Holman LLC. that is the owner of the real estate, which is an affiliate of Mickey's, and the principals of Mickey's are the owners. And you'll also see perhaps references to MediClean, because this was the old commercial laundry for the hospital, and Mickey's will do, once again, they'll do more in the medical field, their linens and so forth that they supply to hospitals and physicians' offices and such. And that will be what they will continue to do at this site. If you may recall, a couple of years ago, we were here on behalf of Mickey's because they've invested a lot in Hammond for another site where they're doing the linens for their restaurant business. So this will be the MediClean division that we're talking about. I'll make reference to a couple of issues we solved working with Mr. Poland and Mr. Novak and Mr. Button to make sure that we would not have other issues to present to you tonight, but we've confirmed how we're going to develop this property, so we don't have those problems, so I may reference those. But we need to we want to use the footprint of the existing building in the loading dock area, but we want to go up. We want to add a little bit of an addition and go up a little higher to accommodate that front area that they're going to develop. And you can see, to get an idea of the site illustrations or elevations that I've included in the exhibits, and you'll also see those depicted in my supporting letter, and specifically on page 6, you'll see the kind of the elevation of the new area that is, I have the green oval, and that's looking at it, that's the east elevation, so we're looking from Hovind Avenue, and then if you flip the page, you can see the west and south elevations of this new area. That's the new addition. Now we intend to go right up to the lot line, which is the alley. And if you look back on page 6, you can see an extract from the site plan that shows the location of this new area that's going to be added on to the building. It's at the exact same location, extending the existing building. So the existing building is right on that lot line along the alley on the west side. We're asking this board's approval to extend the building on that same lot line so we can add this addition that they need to service this new loading area and some equipment. So that's the basic idea of the first petition that we've brought before you in case Z2503A. In Z2503B, we're coming before you because we have a requirement that front and side yard fences can't exceed 4 feet in height. We're seeking approval to install a 6-foot tall ornamental retractable fence and gate system that's going to surround the loading area, and I'll show you those illustrations momentarily. But the idea is to secure the loading area and also keep, any pedestrians from entering in that loading area and making an unsafe situation by having folks there. Presumably, we're going to have, the idea is to have more people walking in the downtown district. I was talking to you about that in January. And part of that is to understand and protect people from entering what, is an area where trucks are going to be unloading into this loading area. And so the fencing is there for that purpose, but also for security purposes for the building to prevent access when it shouldn't be occurring to the building. And so my folks propose to install a 6-foot ornamental fence and a gate system, and we did a lot of work on that gate system, which I can kind of best show you on, I think if you look at page 12, there's an extract, and we can look at some of the other areas in in the exhibits I sent you if you want to look at the full plans. But the extract on 12 gives you an idea of where this fencing system and gate system is going to be installed in relation to the loading area and how the trucks, and these are not full semi-trucks, these are smaller, I don't know if we'd call them box trucks, but they're smaller trucks with a shorter profile, and they'll be entering into this loading area. And if you'll recall from our when we were here last year, we talked to you a lot about the planters that were going to be installed along Homan Avenue on the sidewalk. And those planters are going to be in front of this ornamental gate. So it's going to soften and make the approach, make this look appealing from Homan Avenue. If you look at the illustration on page 14, you'll get a kind of a cross-reference of that planter detail, which illustrates kind of how the fence incorporates with the planters and how there'll be a buffer on the sidewalk or street side of that fence. And then if you look on page 15, you'll see an elevation of the fence to, it's going to be a nice ornamental black. It'll not wrought iron any longer, but we understand the material that it's made of it, but it will be a nice fencing system, and that will be the same fencing for the gate system. And if you look also on the bottom of page 15, you can see where the planters are in reference to that fence. And one of the items we had to be careful about here was we have a new light fixture that is going to be moved into that corner area. We didn't want any obstruction there. And also, when we were installing the fence and the dumpster, if you look at the bottom of page 13, on the bottom left, you'll see a call out of where the fence is angled at that corner, and that's to to allow clear vision from the alley and to Doty Street there, so that vehicles turning or making that turn don't have an obstructed view. And so we're committing to develop in that manner, and you can also see where they ultimately located the dumpsters so that we wouldn't have any obstruction there, and they could fit nicely within the fenced area, and this would be a nice presentation. Also on page 13, you're going to see the truck movements. Those were, well, on our side, Ryan Tarenga on our side worked long and hard on figuring out those, the movements of the truck, and then presented to Mr. Button so that he could review carefully to make sure that we have safe ingress and egress of the trucks, and that we won't damage any of either the fencing that's going to be installed, the curbing, and that we can safely navigate on to Doty Street and then on to Homan. One remaining element that we still need to tidy up with our City Council and Board of Works, and Mr. Poland and I are going to be nudging Kevin Smith once again, and we'll get it done, but we're going to have two-way traffic on Doty and Condit up to, and Brian has done, he did the exact measurement of exactly how far we'll go back, but to basically accommodate traffic into not only this loading area, but also the parking lot that is to the west of this area. So essentially, and I could break this down much further, but that's the essence of what we're trying to accomplish here tonight, is allow us to put this new addition on the existing building line, if you will, which is a zero lot line, and to install a 6-foot rather than a 4-foot fence, and for the reasons that we've articulated, it's primarily for security. Also, our loading dock in some areas is depressed, right? So we want to make sure that there's a good buffer that nobody would accidentally fall into that depressed area. And I'll be happy to entertain any questions. I see Peter Brown, who is my client here on screen. If you have any questions for him, he's here to answer as well.
Any questions?
I do. Thank you very much, Mr. Yaney. Great presentation. This addition we're talking about, make sure it's pretty when you connect it to my building.
Yes,
And
it
my-
will match the existing, and I'm sure maybe Mr. Brown would like to speak to that, but we'll make
You're
sure.
doing a fine job. Go ahead.
Okay. No, it will match the existing building, and they are taking great care and attention there. They're fixing up some of the areas that got a little bit, I'll say just maybe ignored or mangled over the years. They're freshening up the building and restoring to what it was.
You've answered my question. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Madam Chairman,
Yes?
I just want to clarify for the record that the rear yard setback is going from 22 feet and change to 0. That is based on the C1 regulations and how that is calculated in requiring the rear yard setback. And then the fence, of course, is going from a 4-foot allowed to a 6-foot fence. When it comes to the planter, those of you that may remember from 2024, on the original variance to allow for the first addition to the building, that's where this planter came in. The plans at that time took the planter all the way to the corner, and that's what Mr. Yaney was referring to, is that the planter is pulled back because of the vision clearance. And then the design of the planter is much more refined than it was a year ago, and of course, the fence that he alluded to is a part of that. And then for the secretary, Mr. Faulkner arrived at 6:10.
Basically, the rear setback basically is even with the regular setback that was already there.
That
So
is
it's just
correct.
continuing what is there, so instead
Yes.
of indenting the building or anything like that.
That's correct.
Okay.
Yes. And we referenced the height of the building, which is going to be 21 feet 3 inches. It's a single story, but that would be equivalent to a 2-story. So when Mr. Poland just reminded me, we're seeking the setback or the variance as if it was a 2-story building, because the height is essentially the same.
The entrance and exit of the vans, or whatever we want to call them, will be on and off of Doty or going on to Holman Avenue?
Onto Doty, not onto Homan.
If this becomes a two-way street just for as far as entrance and exit of the vehicles, does it affect any of the homeowners or anything like that in the area?
That really is the purpose that we discussed in 2024. That was a condition of the approval of the original addition to change this to a two-way street so that the vehicles in the parking lot in Doty Street would not, would go, if the one-way street remained, they would be going through the neighborhood to state line. So the whole purpose of this is that those people using the parking lot will be able to return back to Holman Avenue. And then Condit Street, similarly, I think portions, we'll have to verify this, Mr. Yaney, but I think Mr. Button told me that Condit Street may already be two-way for that first block up to the alley, so we may be okay with that.
I think, my recollection, and we'll get straight on this, the street signs indicate two-way, but we could not find the approval in the council minutes that we searched, and that's the only way to designate it.
Fair point, okay.
Yeah, and I know Doty Street already is two-way to a certain extent. We're going to extend it to the west edge of that parking lot.
Yeah.
At 47 Doty. And that way, it becomes a one-way again in the residential, in front of the houses of the block.
Correct.
Has the staff received any comments from the building commissioner and people that you hadn't heard from before the report was made?
I did briefly mention it to Bob Vale the other morning, and he didn't have anything, against it.
And the staff sees no problem making any of these comments a condition or anything like that? Just so the staff is comfortable. Right, any other questions? Right, we have people call it online. So we will open discussion up to public expressions. And I do not see any.
hold the microphone?
Oh, public comments, I don't see anybody in the audience. Is there anybody on camera that would like to speak for or against?
Remember, if you're on Zoom, you have to unmute if you want to speak.
Okay. Anyone want to speak for or against? Anyone like to speak for or against? Then we will close this period of public comments. And does the board have any other questions or anything, comments they would like to make? All right, then we will move to the staff report for 25-Z-03, parens A, for the developmental variance regarding the reduction of the rear yard setback.
Yeah, city staff has submitted a staff report and a proposed finding of facts for case Z2503A. I will just read the staff recommendation portion of it. Staff has reviewed the petitioner's request and recommends that the BZA grant the developmental variance for the 0-foot rear yard setback should the board feel the petitioner has met the standards subject to the conditions. 1, approval of developmental variance case number Z2503B. 2, reasonable attempt made to match the masonry facade of the existing building. 3, maintaining a vision clearance triangle at the southwest corner of the parcel. 4, approval by the Hammond Board of Public Works and Safety and the City Council to permit two-way traffic on Doty Street, contiguous with the west edge of the property at 47 Doty Street, or approximately 105 feet west of the alleyway. And 5, approval by the Hammond Board of Public Works and Safety and the City Council to permit two-way traffic on Connet Street to the alleyway and rear of 5530 Homan Avenue and 5518 Homan Avenue.
All right, we have proposed findings of fact and the comments from board members. Right, do we have a motion to adopt the staff report as presented and the proposed findings of fact as presented?
I'll make the motion to approve,
Do we have a
Including the
second?
conditions.
according to conditions, yeah, and standards.
I'm sorry, What was your
This
motion again?
Recommendation to approve the staff report is presented in regard to this, and also accept the staff recommendations, and to approve the proposed findings of fact that they were presented.
That's-
Cover everything?
Yes, I wasn't sure
Okay.
what
we
Mr.
a-
Brock said.
We added it at the end.
Okay, so we've clarified the motion that we're just, it's the staff report, the findings of the fact, et cetera, that's what we're doing, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Pro-
Okay, thank you.
Staff report, findings of fact, staff recommendation. We have a motion to approve. Do you have a second now?
I'll second the motion.
We have a motion and a second. Can we have a roll call vote?
Dan Faulkner,
Yes.
Roger Brock.
Yes.
William Hutton,
Yes.
Kathleen Hill,
Yes.
4 ayes, 0 nays, 0 abstention, motion passed.
All right. We will move as far as, do the board members have any questions or comments in regard to Z-25-03, parens B? In regard to the developmental variance to install the 6-foot tall ornamental.
Ms. Hill,
Yes,
I don't believe there was the second motion to
approve.
approve or deny
I
the
think you
developmental
basically are
variance.
correct, Mr. Poland. So do we have a motion to approve or deny the developmental variance for Z-25-03, parens A,
With the conditions in the staff report.
with the conditions in the staff report as presented?
I'll make that motion.
We have that.
To
motion
approve.
so made, and we have a second.
I second.
I'll second.
No, we already have a second, Mr. Faulkner. Thank you. Roll call vote?
Dan Faulkner,
Yes.
Roger Brock,
Yes.
William Hutton.
Yes.
Kathleen Hill.
Yes.
4 ayes, 0 nays, 0 abstentions, motion passed.
All right. Then do we have any questions from the board in regard to Z-25-03, parens B? No comments, any staff comments?
Would you like the staff report?
We ready for it? Okay, we have the staff report for Z-2403, parens B.
Yes, so staff did submit a staff report and a proposed findings of fact. I will read the recommendation. Staff has reviewed the petitioner's request and recommends that the BZA grant the developmental variance should the board feel the petitioner has met the standards subject to conditions. 1, approval of developmental variance case number Z-2503, and that did read parentheses A. 2, no installation of barbed wire or razor wire on top of the fence, nor any trellis or other installation which causes the fence to exceed its 6-foot peak height. 3, installation of masonry walled and limestone capped landscaping bed as proposed at front property line along Homan Avenue. And 4, maintaining a vision clearance triangle at both the southeast and southwest corners of the parcel.
Okay, Madam Chairman, unless it's the version I have, and I'm not sure, I couldn't quite hear what Mr. Novak said. The written version of the staff report in error repeats the 0-foot line, 0 foot. Is that correct, Mr. Novak, the newer version?
That's what I had, yeah, so I made sure.
Okay, so you verbally made a change that this is accepting the variance for the 6-foot height, is that correct?
Yes, that's the development of variance for the 6-foot peak height of fence.
Okay, so Madam Chairman, we have an amended staff report.
And under Part 1, Condition 1, it says approval of developmental variance case number Z-2503A. It should say, or B, it should say A. And I verbally noted that.
Okay. All right, we have some findings of fact for the developmental variance in regard to the 6-foot tall fence in front and side yard. Any comments, questions, changes, additions to the proposed findings of fact? Do we have a motion to adopt the staff report and the staff recommendations as amended and the proposed findings of fact as presented into the vote for that?
I'll make the motion to approve with the standards and conditions in the staff report.
All right, we have a roll call vote.
I'll second.
And it is noted that Mr. Brock's motion said staff report as amended.
Correct, yes, as amended.
Thank you.
We did say that.
I didn't hear the words
Oh,
as
sorry.
amended.
I purposely said it, just for you.
He repeated the motion slightly differently than you stated it.
We have a motion to accept the staff report as amended as far as the staff recommendations and to approve the proposed findings of fact as presented with all amendments made.
I'll make the motion to approve staff report as amended.
I think we will clarify that motion into the minutes. We understand what your intent is.
Yes.
We have a roll call vote.
I'll second the motion.
Thank you.
We have a
Dan
motion and a
Faulkner,
second.
Yes.
Roger Brock,
Yes.
William Hutton.
Yes.
Kathleen Hill,
Yes,
4 ayes, 0 nays, 0 abstentions, motion passed.
do we have in the minutes as far as Mr. Faulkner coming into the meeting at 6:10?
Yes.
It's
Okay,
noted,
thank
and it
you.
was 6:08.
All right. Do we have a motion to approve or deny the developmental variance as presented and as previously voted on as far as with the amendments and the proposed findings of fact
And the conditions.
and the conditions?
I'll make the motion to approve, as the petitioner does, the standards and conditions of the amended staff report.
I'll second the motion.
We have a motion and a second, roll call vote.
Dan Faulkner,
Yes.
Roger Brock.
Yes.
William Hutton.
Yes.
Kathleen Hill.
Yes,
4 ayes, 0 nays, 0 abstentions, motion passed.
okay. Was it brief enough for you, Mr. Yaney? Good luck.
Was it brief enough?
Was it brief enough? All right, any commissioners' comments? Any staff comments?
There will be a BZA meeting at the end of April, so let us know if you're going to be present or not as soon as you can.
I'll be present.
Yeah, I'll be here too.
To my knowledge, I'll be here. I'll something that's a bit. All right. Any public comment? Anybody online have any comments? Hearing none, we will adjourn the meeting at 6:35. Everybody have a, I don't know, are these before then or after?
Sure.
Of course.
Holiday?
Did you adjourn the meeting?
Yes, I did.
Okay, I mean, I really have a
Do we need a
difficulty.
motion?
I have a difficulty hearing
Oh.
because you're not using the microphone.
Oh, I thought I was. Sorry.
First and second.
Can you pull it toward you?
What? That's right here. Can you hear me now?
If you talk into it, yes.
Okay.
'cause you're
Well,
talking-
it's hard to talk into it and think. Okay, but I will start holding the paper up to my face
Okay,
so I can see.
can I talk to the board members before you leave?
Boom. Is that all right? Isn't that like a executive session?